Good evening, good afternoon, good day to all of you. Right off the bat, Kingsman9965 with the follow. Many thanks, my friend. I hope everyone is well today. We got our first real, I say real, we got a dusting of snow overnight last night here where I'm at. It's kind of nice out, but I wouldn't exactly call it a good snow. It was just enough to barely cover the grass. So I don't think it really counts. But snow is snow. So today we start off in Edinburgh, which is where we left off on Tuesday. We're gonna fly over Glasgow and on our way to Campbeltown, do a landing there. Then we're going to fly to the southwest a little bit to Belfast, and from there we'll fly over Eglinton on our way to Donegal, back in Ireland. So we've got people in the chat ready to go. Cat Bat and I is here. Happy Thursday to you as well. Dougal McTavish is here. Welcome. Tortuga's here. Good evening. Noel's here. Hello, hello. Keen Lafford is here. Happy Christmas Eve, Eve. Yes, it is. Today is 1 week until Christmas Eve. Merlin Flyers here. Hello, hello. Scotland 737 Project is here. Good evening to you as well. Fast P84 is here. Good evening. Kingsman Pilot Peely's here. Hello to you as well. Hope you're well. Kingsman 9965. Good evening. Nendale is here. Where I'm in Michigan. Nendale, you're all good. Welcome along. Probably runway 24. Same runway we landed on Tuesday. Seamus McNeil's here. Good day. Hope you're well. Randy Hurst is here. Welcome, welcome. So, since it's my last stream of the, or last planned stream of the week, I should say, gonna take a nice, slower bit of a journey on our trip, and we're going to use the old reliable 172. Because the 172 is just a great little plane. The weather settings, it's currently 0754 AM in the sim, using the Weather Preset Pro mid-level clouds. So, that being said, let's get this party started. Why not? So, first things first, we open the fuel cutoff. We move the mixture to full. Throttle moves to cracked. We're going to turn on our handy cheaty light. There's alternator master, battery master, beacon light is on, magneto switch to both, we yell clear prop. We have a good engine start. get the RPM set to about 1,000, between 900 and 1,000 RPMs. We're gonna lean the mixture just a little bit so we don't foul the plugs. Nav lights coming on, taxi lights are on. We're gonna turn this off. We're gonna turn some lights in on the cockpit. Lights on in the cockpit. Words are fun. We're going to adjust our trim for takeoff. Gonna turn our avionics on. Move our transponder to altitude mode. Gonna check our altimeter setting, directional gyro setting. We're going to preset our autopilot. Make sure that is ready to go. So, it seems as though Murphy's in the background and the chat doesn't like him for some reason, so we're going to make sure that at least we say hello to our good friend Murphy, who technology seems to be working against him. So we are going to taxi to runway 24. Increase the throttle just a bit to break momentum. I like these dark takeoffs. Get to let the sun chase us. Beautiful morning here in Edinburgh. Hope everyone's had a decent week so far, and if there have been troubles in the week, it's soon to be the weekend, and hopefully I can do some small part to bring some joy. If not joy, some relaxation at least. Because we can all use that. Edinburgh's on my list of places I would love to visit in real life. It's native to many of our upstanding community members. As we put on the strobe lights as we enter the active taxi or the active runway, turn off the taxi lights and turn on the landing light. And we're gonna go ahead and get to rolling. So there's 40, there's 50. Got one notch of flaps. We got some weird buffeting going on. That's kind of odd. Well, it's not a controller input. Woo. And I don't know if anybody else is getting this weird buffeting, but maybe it's just me. As long as it's not just me getting the buffeting, is really confusing. Ooh, man alive. Well, I'm gonna check the weather. Oh yeah, it's the... Let's calm that down. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's a no bueno. Okay, let's go with cool and crisp. See if that's a bit more stable. There we go. That's better. That is much more agreeable. Whew. That was interesting. As I see Scotland 737. Dreadfan 34 or 38 Dreadfan, could you not? It's not funny or entertaining. There's Red Pilot Randy in the bunch. Pilot Peely, Dougal McTavish, Best P84, Tortuga, Rand Pilot Randy, Commandant Muttley, Kingsman, and Catbat. Scotland 737 is going on ahead. So our target cruise altitude is 4,500 feet. Exactly, Seamus. It's part of the reason why I like choosing the morning takeoff times when I'm unable to do live time. As it also gives a nice variety of scenery. There is the two-tone Murphy, who's got the chat to work with him. Welcome, my friend. Glad you could finally get it to work. How is Murphy today? As we fly over a waking up Edinburgh, or a simulated waking up Edinburgh. It might be a little on the slow side, but it should be okay once we get to cruise. I don't think the performance is... It's only a little slower than the 172, I believe. As we're going to go ahead and set cruise power. Yeah, Murph, it's second to none. Yeah, isn't that the greatest feeling, Keen? You know, go to watch something and, oh, the battery. Been there, done that, Keen. I know how it feels. Just make sure you're taking appropriate precautions. So we are indeed flying on cool and crisp instead of mid-level clouds because the wind was just not functioning real well. It was very erratic. And when it's erratic like it was, it's not real fun to fly in. We are flying. We took off from Edinburgh. We're going to fly over Glasgow. As I'm using the wrong mouse to look at the flight plan. From Glasgow, we're flying to Campbeltown, where we'll do our first landing. From there, we'll fly south to Belfast, and then we'll fly over Eglinton on our way to Donegal. As the sun chases us from beyond the horizon. We can already see patches of snow here in Scotland, or at least here in virtual Scotland. The night lights never cease to amaze. Flying some nice relaxing airplanes with some nice relaxing music. Gonna pop in the cockpit to make sure all our instruments are reading the way they need to. Google says, I discovered the battery drains really fast while sitting on the ramp. Had to restart. Oh dear. 100. Whoa! Scotland, my friend! A little Christmas bonus for. Dude! Deuteronomy. Wow. I don't even know what to say. Holy crap, dude. I mean, thank you. Right off, I mean, hands down, thank you. But, oh, I don't know what to say. I genuinely don't know what to say. Um, uh, Shout out to Scotland 737 project with the unreal donation to the channel. Um, um, Welcome, Wisdom SP. First time I'm seeing you in the chat. Dang. Uh, huh. I, I, dude. Dude. I genuinely don't have the words, but because of that, you get to see the webcam. Thank you. I. Well, I'm incredibly grateful, Scotland, and thankful. You're a very, very generous and kind person. I genuinely don't have the words to express my deep gratitude for that. I'm a bit stunned, so you'll have to forgive me. Thank you. Genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Okay. Wow. Okay. I don't know what to say. That's incredible. I don't know what you. Thank you. I I I don't know what to say. um, I will accept your generosity, and I will pay it forward for sure. Yeah, I'll do. I'm glad that you come here, and I'm thankful for everyone that comes here and enjoys the content. You did a massive thing flying around the world in a Mooney. Scotland 737 Project does have his own YouTube channel, so be sure to go by and subscribe to his channel. But man, I don't know what to say. You've I'm gonna repeat myself an awful lot here. Yeah, I'm gonna hide my face now because I don't know what I wanted. But I had to show the face for that. Holy cow! Thank you. It's gonna take a minute to process that. Whoa! Oh boy! And happy Christmas to all. Okay, I'm gonna hide my face now. We'll check out the outside of the airplane for a little while. I Wow. That's nuts. Thank you. Oh boy. That's I don't know what to say. I'm not good with words anyway, but now we're on the East Europe server, or East Europe, East USA server, I should say. We're in Scotland. We're not that far out from Echo Golf Papa Foxtrot. which is Glasgow. It will, and as I said earlier, I will make sure that I pay it forward. Pay forward the kindness and generosity. Because it's not only is it the specific season for it, but we should do that in general. And I do what I can to brighten other people's lives as much as I can. So for someone to brighten my life like that, I will pay it forward in kind. Roger that, Wisdom. I don't know what to say to that. Wow. Whew. Thank you. So yeah, we're almost to got some lights ahead of us we're getting close to Glasgow. I believe we're over Glasgow right now. So Echo Golf Papa Foxtrot. Echo Golf Papa Foxtrot. Is our next stop. I even set my cruise speed to be fairly conservative. Yeah, I'm indicating 109. My ground speed's indicating 110. Not everybody's way ahead. Cat Bat's there, Pilot Peely's there, Red Pilot and Randy. So the gang's still here. So we're kind of doing a Santa run in, I think it's southern Scotland and into Northern Ireland. Like geographical Northern Ireland. Lots of places up in this area and between Northern England, Scotland, Ireland that I'd love to visit. I could do a lot of good and generous things with that kind of fundage, to which I'm very insanely thankful for and grateful for. I'm still trying to process it. The brain's kind of got a hitch in the giddy up right now. I'm absolutely stunned. So here's Glasgow. If Die Hard is a Christmas movie, so is the first Lethal Weapon, Batman Returns, and the movie 1941 with Jim Belushi. I've seen Die Hard once. I didn't like. I like it. Was a decent movie. I think there are better action Christmas movies like Lethal Weapon, for instance. But it could be considered a Christmas movie. As we say farewell to Scotland, well, the Glasgow and well, we've already said goodbye to Edinburgh, so we're going to say goodbye to Glasgow. And by all means, if I'm pronouncing it wrong, correct me. I would. No, I like to pronounce things as best as I can, and will do my best. And we're on our way to Campbeltown. Home Alone's pretty good. I think Home Alone 2 was a little bit better. Marv was my favorite character of either of them. I've never actually seen the Polar Express. There's Dougal. If that's Elf with Will Ferrell, I've not seen it. I'm not a big Will Ferrell fan. I've seen the ads for it, but I've not actually seen Polar Express. I remember it being a book first. I've never even when it was a book, I think it was geared towards a lower age group than me. I have nothing against it, just it's not something I've seen. Fair enough. Books tend to be better than TV or movie adaptations. It's kind of like I've seen Andrew Lloyd Webber's Phantom of the Opera, and I saw it in a good order because I saw it at a theater in Toronto. It was a very old theater, very nice theater. And then I saw it at a theater, or performed at a theater near me that wasn't quite as nice of a theater. It was still a good production, but wasn't quite the same. And then I saw one of the movie adaptations for it, and it wasn't bad, but it's not the same presence. That's fair, Keen. Just Will Ferrell's just not my speed. Got nothing against him directly, just not my speed, and that's okay. When you move the view hat the wrong way. A nice sunrise we've got coming. That's another one. I've actually not seen that one either. Traditionally, my family has watched, well, half of my family. My mom, my sister, and I, essentially, I've watched Muppet Christmas Carol on Christmas Eve, or on Christmas, depending on how things go down. Other side of the family kind of traditionally, there really hadn't been any real traditions with the other side of the family of other than where we have our Christmas dinner, and that's about it. It's a beautiful area. I just, sunrise, the golden hour, and sunset, the other golden hour, is just, it's a great time to fly. Absolutely, Seamus, go ahead and post it. Scotland's done some fantastic flying work. Hopefully we can actually, he's been streaming it on the Discord. Hopefully he'll stream it on the YouTube. He's got plans for another around the world, just the other direction. And I can't wait to see it. And Seamus, if it doesn't let you, I will do that. Let's see. Da, 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 na, 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 na. Yep, that's one of the nice things about the cool and crisp setup is the puts a little snow on the ground. Microsoft and Asobo did announce that in addition to the VR update coming out Tuesday, they're going to be adding in live snowfall. I don't know if that necessarily means accumulation on the ground as well, or how exactly, but they're going to add a better immersion of snow, which seems fantastic. And link didn't post to Twitch, so I'm going to post it again. So we're starting to go over the water. On our way to Campbeltown. And I believe this is the this first island is the Isle of Arran. Yeah, if you're not subbed to Scotland, you really should check out his content. I'm subscribed. Being a Goon in a Typhoon uploaded 2 days ago. He's been doing a north to south in the Blériot. Lots of fun work on his channel to keep an eye on. Let's see. EEC. As I look for a chart. For the next stop. So we have 2 runway options. Looks to be a short runway We're going to land on probably runway 29. According to the airport information diagram, warning: deer activity may take place on AD. Perimeter fence obstruction at western end of runway. ACFT may be backtracking or taxiing the runway in use after landing roll or takeoff roll. So, good information to have. Excellent. Good to hear wisdom. We've got all the fireflies coming with us. You deserve all the subscriptions and more, Scotland. You're a great guy and a very generous person, and you deserve it. No, thank you. It almost looks like the Aurora Borealis, but it's not. Although I hear they're working on it. Working to have the actual Aurora Borealis in the sim. Which would be awesome. So once we get to Campbeltown, landing on runway 25, I'll get down first, get set up for recording the landings. As we keep an eye on for the sun to pop up over the horizon. As we can see Prestwick over here. We're almost over the Isle of Arran. Some snow on the peaks. A little surprised there isn't some sort of airport on the Isle of Arran, unless it's just not showing up yet, or a lighted airport anyway. Sorry for being so quiet. I'm just between being stunned and whatnot and just enjoying the beauty. It's just I get a little quiet. Scotland says race the sun challenge in the typhoon. I will try to race the sun setting off just before sunrise at Dublin, then heading to Los Angeles before sunset coming in 2020. That sounds awesome, Scotland. I hope you stream that on the YouTube. And you know, if you ever need help setting that stuff up, between Murph and I would be willing to help with that. MSS Cannonball Run happening. Yeah, I don't remember when, but they are doing an event as such. They're disallowing any community mods, or they're keeping it to a certain amount of airplanes, and they have rules. But it does sound interesting. Murph and I are coming up with a plan for, I believe, New Year's. And details for that to come soon. Epic scenery. So many places in Flight Sim that flying over I would love to be able to see in real life. So many people all over the world that I've never met in person. That would be awesome to meet. I can't wait for Oshkosh 2022. So long as everything goes back to some semblance of normal. Let's see. Now the question is, I believe the runway should be lighted here in Campbeltown. But I don't know for certain. The runway is 5,741 feet long, or 1,750 meters. It's 151 feet wide, or 46 meters wide. So I'll do my best to be the first one down. And then get situated for recording the landings. So it should be right here. So we're going to go ahead and disable the autopilot. Mixture goes to rich. We're going to lower the engine power, reduce the throttle to about 2,000 RPMs. We're going to use the trim to maintain a speed as well as turn in a direction in preparation for the runway, because we're looking for runway 25. Excuse me, 29. It's about 4 degrees off. That's a little par for the course for me. So let's see, 29 would be 180 would be 90. We won't aim completely south, but we will make sure that we're reducing altitude as well as getting in a better angle for the runway approach. It'd be an interesting place to live, kind of on a peninsula. Kind of the story of my home state. 2 giant peninsulas. Fair enough, Scotland. I'm just glad you're here. Glad you flew along. And incredibly grateful for your continued generosity. It's stunning, my friend. Flight planning is the unspoken challenge of flying. Is flying the aircraft isn't nearly as complicated as flight planning. The longer the flight plan, the longer the flight planning takes. So we have the runway in sight. We check over at the horizon. Sun still has not risen above the horizon. But isn't that just absolutely pretty? So I'll get down first so that I can record the landing. Continue to reduce power and use the trim to slow ourselves down enough to get into the white arc so that we can start putting down flaps. There's the white arc, so here comes the flaps. The throttle's right where we want it, about 1600 RPM. As we're lined up for the runway. So the question is, will the sun come up above the horizon before or after we get to Belfast? And we're going to lower it to 1500 RPM. Continuing to trim for speed. Remember, pitch to speed and throttle to altitude. So we're currently high on the glide slope. So we're going to go ahead and reduce power a bit more. Did a bit more. Doing whatever we can to try and stay centered on the center line. Drop a little bit more power. Add in that next notch of flap. Nice and stable approach, even though we're a bit high. There we go. So we're gonna get back to 1500 RPMs. Gonna throw in the last notch of flaps. Use our trim to maintain proper speed. There, we're right on the glide slope now. Little adjustments. Okay, we need to add some power. We're getting too low. So we're a little low, but it's still safe. Given the conditions, we're on the center line. We'll slowly take out the throttle, start our rollout and our flare. Nice, firm, constant pressure on the yoke as we gently let down the nose. That's how you do that. Flaps are coming up. Clean the mixture a bit, get back to 1000 RPM. We're going to do some cutting. We're going to just cross over the grass here. And one thing I just thought of, I kind of hope they update the icing effect to not be so aggressive in the new update. And as Kingsman is down, as we have Zolshurst in for landing. A nice approach. Nice landing. Very well done. We have our next lander. We missed Kingsman. There's Tortuga in the X-Cub. Gonna readjust the camera just a hair, as we've got another lander inbound. It's one Dougal McTavish with a very smooth landing. Very well done, my friend. Right on the center line. Fine-tuning the camera a little bit more. As Merlin flyers in, right on the center line. There's a nice landing. Nicely done. Got two coming in. That's Pilot Peely and Commandant Muttley. And then a third, closely behind, is Catbat with a 172, a VL3, and the Bonanza, respectively. Everyone's done a fantastic job. We got Fast P and Rad Pilot Randy inbound. Look at the view at this airport, though. Some mountains, you got the sea. What's not to enjoy here? Everyone's had some great landings tonight. Can't wait for the next couple of landings we do. You're all good, Dougal. You can plug SimWings to your heart's content. They do a fantastic job. I wish I could participate in that event. Head over to SimWings, I believe it's .com, to see their calendar of events, as Fast P84 comes in with the 172 right on the center line. Nicely done. I realize I need a haircut. So we should just be waiting for Rad Pilot Randy. That is one Rad Pilot inbound. So simwings.org/events. And you'll be able to see all the wonderful events that SimWings is doing. They have a big GA event tomorrow. If I remember correctly, they do GA events every 4 to 6 weeks. They also have some flights with the tube liners, if you're into that sort of thing. SimWings does a lot of very good things that I'm proud to stand behind. Just need my schedule to line up with theirs to participate in some of their events, because they sound like a load of fun. No, Murphy participated in one a while back over Vegas. Yep, so Saturday the 19th, so 2 days from today, is their next GA event. Going to see Santa Claus. So again, Peely and Dougal, you both have my sincerest apologies for the schedule conflict, family events, and all that. As Rad Pilot Randy is in with a very nice landing. Nicely done, Randy. Ooh, we even have an MB339. So, that brings us back to where we are. And we'll go ahead and start taxiing to the departure or to depart on runway 29 as we try to break the momentum of sitting in the grass. We make our way back onto the taxiway. So we'll keep the autopilot set to the same altitude, 4,500 feet, on our way down to Belfast. On the northern end of the Emerald Isle. And from Belfast, once we land there, we'll take off, fly over think I planned this out or something. Londonderry. We'll fly over that as we turn almost due west for Donegal. So while we're taxiing, I'm going to make sure that the trim is set. We're going to slow down a little bit. The taxi light comes off, the landing light comes on, the strobe lights come back on. As we enter the active runway. Alright, mixture goes to full. We slowly add the throttle. We maintain the center line as best as possible. 55 knots indicated on the airspeed indicator, 1 notch of flaps. And we're up nice and gently. Use the trim to keep stable. I'm going to make sure our directional gyro and altimeter settings remain correct. It's 300 feet, flaps are coming up. Maintaining runway heading for a moment. We look out of the windshield or window. We'll begin our casual left turn as we do, and as the sun peaks over the mountain, we'll even out as the fireflies take off. And this is the time of day to fly, I'm telling you. So most everybody is up as our friend in the MB339 is on takeoff roll. We'll go in the cockpit. We're going to go ahead and activate the autopilot. Vertical speed 500 feet per minute. Activate nav mode. as the sun rises over the horizon on the cool, crisp morning in simulated Scotland. Just want to give a shout out to the Two Tone Murphy community for being awesome. You know, it's been a rough year for all of us collectively and a lot of us individually, and this community has been absolutely fantastic. Between the generosity of time and otherwise, sharing and caring and really being a great group of people. Bombasso's in the house. Good day to you, my friend, as well. Hope you're well. I was just giving some thoughts on and some thanks to the community, the little community that we have going for ourselves. It's a great place to be. It's really helped me get through this year. And it's been a rough year for all of us in a lot of ways. And to be able to have a community that we all care about each other and look after each other, and we're generous with time and skills and otherwise, it's given me a lot to be thankful for. Roger that, Bombasso. We just took off from EGEC, Echo Golf Echo Charlie. We're on our way to Belfast, Echo Golf Alpha Alpha. It's a bit of a short trip, only 50 nautical miles. But it's been a great time with the community. A lot of wonderful things that the community's done for a lot of people, and a lot of good things for me, you know, individually. It's just been fantastic getting to know Murphy and the Fireflies and everybody, and I've been blessed to be around y'all. Especially taking into consideration that most everybody's from in the community is from Europe or parts of Europe, and I'm over here in the United States. You know, it's nice that we can all come together with the common interests and the common methods of thought, and be good to each other and really come together as a community and a family. And so I'm blessed, and I'm grateful for all of you. I know I'm getting sappy a little bit, but I think it's important to, especially this year more than any, to express what you're thankful for, because you don't know what you have until it's gone, and you can't get that back, or you can't always get it back. So it's important to remember what you have and be grateful for it. Absolutely. I would never forget Texas. That's very true, Dougal. And I think that's one of the other things that I'm really thankful for, is just to be able to participate and interact with a lot of people from outside of my bubble, as it were. it helps me have a nice perspective on things, and different views and different ways of doing things, and it's all fantastic. I'm glad that you all enjoy. I do my best. I'm some guy sitting behind a computer screen and hoping to give people a little peace and tranquility in a a time of turmoil, because it's wreaked havoc on a lot of people's psyches, and so to be able to share that with everybody is just, I'm very grateful for that. And Florida, we've got Pennsylvania and Texas and Florida all over. I mean, it's a global community. Having it's fantastic. I'm have the a fairly unique opportunity to be able to participate with international and domestic folks with a common interest, and I'm very grateful for that. I'm glad that people enjoy coming along and participating, and it's just great. Liverpool, Dublin, all over the place. It's fantastic. I believe Kendra's in Germany. It's everywhere. It's just we're all flight sim nerds, and we all have the common interest, and it's great. Let's look at the scenery. That's a postcard. It's one of those wish you were here postcards. My goodness. We've got everybody. We've got Commandant Motley, Pilot Peely, Kingsman, Fast Pete, Merlin Flyer, Red Pilot Randy, Tortuga, and Dougal, and everybody that flies along. I'm happy to have you here. Look at the lighting. It's just nuts. It's something you see out of a movie or a postcard or. As we're getting over the northern part of Ireland. I believe this area is Carnlow and Glenarm. If I'm reading the map correctly, I'm probably butchering the names. As we get the look of the sunrise as we enter Ireland. This roughly marks the halfway point of this particular leg. It was a short trip between Campbeltown and Belfast. We're not going into Belfast City, but to the bigger airport of Belfast Aldergrove, which I believe is, from, again, if I'm reading the maps correctly, Belfast, the city, is down in this general area. Absolutely, Peely. It's, I mean, it's funny in a way, but it's definitely awesome. You know, you interact with people for so long online, and it's hard to think that, well, gosh, I haven't met these people in real life, and you have strong friendships that all happened over the internet. It's awesome. Now there's a Cessna promo, if I've ever seen one. Ben McClure has arrived after the longest shopping trip ever. Glad you could make it, my friend. We are making our way from Campbeltown down to Belfast after taking off out of Edinburgh and flying over Glasgow. It's a good question there, Pilot Peely. Very nice. We're flying to the international airport, Echo Golf Alpha Alpha, not the city airport. I kind of debated on which I wanted to do. So we're just outside of the city proper. And here, I believe I'm guessing at the pronunciation here, but Loch Ness. For sure, Noel. Same for me. Before finding Murphy, I had a tendency to fly flight sim a little haphazardly, not without a lot of direction on doing things. And after meeting Murph, I started flying a bit more seriously and, doing the group flights. It's definitely, having a community has made it even better, because now I have a community that I can share my interests with, and I can learn about their interests and how they fly, where they are, and explore. It's definitely been a bright spot in 2020. I pronounced it correctly. Hot diggity, Loch Ness. We should be on the East USA server, Papa Joe. We are just about to Belfast. We're just coming over the coast of the northern edge of Ireland. And we will be at Echo Golf Alpha Alpha shortly. And I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't fighting off some tears for tonight's stream. It's definitely given me a real sense of gratefulness and thankfulness, because I mean you're all great, and special shout out to Scotland for being super generous. And we have a good little community, and I'm very thankful to be a part of it. So we're going to look up on the charts of what runway we're going to land at. So we'll probably land on runway 25. Let's see. Randy Hurst says, used to fly in virtual airline. Multiplayer is much more engaging. Absolutely. It's a lot more fun and a lot easier to explore the world. Glenn McClure says, I had to educate an American tourist today that Ireland is split into two for various reasons, but they were having none of it. And argue. I mean, it's just the fact that there is Northern Ireland and there is the Republic of Ireland. I like to think of it as, from a people perspective, I treat everybody the same, although I understand that there's some animosity there and some unpleasantness. But I like to focus more on the positive aspects of everything. And I'll be the first to admit that Americans are pretty dumb when it comes to information about Europe. We're not always the brightest brightest crayons in the box, which to some degree has me, feeling bad for Europeans trying to interact with Americans, because Americans can be pretty dumb. But I think that's kind of a global thing. It's kind of like if I was trying to argue, I'm sure that there's people in Europe that don't quite understand how America works with, having the federal government and then state governments and all that fun stuff. I know it's a bold statement, Bombasso, but yeah. And, Seamus, you have a very unique perspective on it, having, spent most of your life in Scotland and now you live in Missouri. But yeah, I just try to focus on the people and just treating everybody with dignity and respect as much as possible. You know, you always get there's always one, and you kind of got to give them a bit of a firm hand. But by and large, you know, if we just treat people, you know, like we want to be treated, well, then everything's good. Then we'll be fine. So I like to, but you're absolutely correct that there is a difference between the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. You know, and it's all a bunch of unpleasantness of how that came to be, but it is a simple fact. So we're about 11 miles out of Belfast. I believe the airport is right down there, as we can see Papa Joe B on the ground. So we're going to go ahead and disable the autopilot. We're going to put the mixture to full. I'm going to start turning to the right because we're going to land on runway 25. Oh dear, I lost the window I was on. Left turn. We're going to use the trim. We're going to power back to 2,000 RPM for the descent. And give or take a little bit. We'll use the trim to manage our speed. As the cool and crisp morning sun shines over the Emerald Isle. I believe we have the runway in sight, as well as Papa Joe B. So we're going to actually drop down to about 1,600 RPMs for the sake of a more expedient descent. We'll stabilize at about 17. Using trim to manage our speed, keeping the airfield in sight. We see Catbat in the Bonanza. There's Commandant Muttley over to the right. Gonna pull on back on the yoke a little bit to lose some speed. Get ourselves into the white arc. There's one notch. As we maintain a view on the runway. Drop ourselves to 1500 RPMs. Trim up a little bit to keep the speed down. Start a shallow right turn to line up with the runway. So we have the runway almost lined up. We'll straighten out, get a little closer to the center line. We do appear to be a little high on the glide slope, but that's all right. We got time to manage that. Go ahead and put out the second notch of flaps. Pitch to speed, throttle to altitude. As the sunlight starts creeping into the cockpit, there's Catbat with the chase plane, almost, or the guide plane. We're still high on the glide slope. So we'll reduce power a little more. Okay, we've got one red and three white. Give it 1500 RPMs just to stabilize. We're on glide slope now. The morning simulated morning traffic here on the outskirts of the airport. We're going to put our last notch of flaps in. Now we're a little low on the glide slope, so we'll add a little bit of power. Or really low on the glide slope, we'll add more power. So we're over the numbers. We're gonna start reducing throttle even more. Go idle power. Gentle but firm back pressure on the yoke. Then we gently let down onto the nose wheel. Flaps are coming up. Like we barely even knew that we had touched down. We'll take the first taxiway off. Landing light comes off. Strobe lights come off. Taxi light comes on. There's a bit of a bump there. So we're going to park it right here. We're going to get our engine set to idle properly. Get in our drone camera. As pilot Peely is down, Kingsman's inbound. We still have many friends up in the air. Nice job, Kingsman. Tortuga's inbound. There's Tortuga in the X-Cub with a nice approach. Very stable. Just the way you want to have it. Nicely done. There's Dougal and Catbat. Catbat going forward of the go-around. Dougal with a nice, stable approach. Very well done. There's Merlin Flyer. Going for the no flap approach. Maybe. Followed closely by Riot Pilot Randy. As Ben McClure says, on the opposite side of the airfield there is an RAF base, which operates helos and an Army Air Corps Islander aircraft. You might also see an A400 or C-130 sometimes. Very nice. There's Roger RC in the extra, followed shortly by Fast P84 in the 172. Really excited to see what the big UK update brings next month. Which it's hard to believe I'm saying next month when next month is next year. Because for all that 2020 has brought us, where has the time gone? And our final evening, or our final landing for this stop is Catbat 9. In the Funanza. Nicely done. So as I bring the camera back to my aircraft, we'll go ahead and make our way back into the cockpit. Pilot Pete, I think we've been so preoccupied with COVID that year has got past. Absolutely. Well, between COVID, focused on COVID, but also focused on not focusing on COVID, because we have flight sim. That's something awesome to focus on. We go make sure that all our stuff is set correctly. We're gonna. Wow, the trim was set perfect. So, parking brake comes off. Toss in a little throttle to start brake momentum and start our taxi down to runway 25 for departure. We're also going to turn off the instrument lights because we don't really need them anymore now that the sun is properly up. Mind the bumps in the taxiway. Hey, I fully welcome and embrace puns, so never feel bad about a pun. If I can sit on Murphy's stream and make jokes about cheese and logs and bears, I fully embrace puns. This is one lumpy taxiway. As we make our way towards runway 25 for departure. As Papa Joe B is acting into position for hold. Commandant Muttley following shortly behind. Fast P-84 behind Commandant Muttley. As Captain Bombasso is circling the field in the DA-40. Look at that sunrise. Isn't that something? So as we pass the hold short line, the taxi light comes off, the landing light and strobe lights come on. Yes. I'm going to log that one in the books. So mixture comes forward, and as we slowly advance the throttle to full power, and we use the rudder pedals to keep ourselves on the center line. 50 airspeed's alive, 55 knots, one notch of flaps comes down, and we lift off like it wants to fly. So that's about 300 feet. The flaps come up. We'll go ahead and start our traditional casual left turn as everyone gets airborne and gets formed up together. "100% Dougal. It's always a blast, and the more, the merrier." That's one of the reasons I put them in there, Seamus, is because it reminds me to drink some water as well, especially when my throat starts getting a little raspy. So as we fly over the airport in Belfast, if it weren't for the sun, we could actually see the city. as we overlook Loch Ness. There's Spag on the ground. Welcome. Good to see you here. Eltor. Oh, still don't know how to pronounce it, but it's Gaelic for aviator. Or at least the closest it gets, from what I'm told. So it seems everybody is up off the ground. So we're going to go ahead and activate our autopilot. Set it for 500 feet per minute, going up to 4,500 feet. Activate our nav mode. As we overlook the airfield one last time. As pardon me, as we begin the final leg of our trip this evening, as we'll fly over Londonderry on our way to Donegal. I hope everything's okay, Captain Bombasso. Looks like you're looking for the perfect Christmas tree. I mean, it's just the season. You got to find the right tree. That's important. So there's Loch Ness. Well, he got up, so it seems that he did bring the chainsaw. They make those handy-dandy compact ones these days that you could fit in the storage compartment of an airplane. So as we reach cruise altitude, going to lean the mixture a bit, and we're going to pull the throttle back to cruise power. as we're catching up with Catbat 9. That's definitely something out of a postcard. It seems during the stream today, Microsoft have posted their final development blog for the year, the December 17th, 2020 development update, using a screenshot of Devil's Tower with what appears to be a 747 at night, looking like a UFO. And it sounds like in the next update, we're going to get a bunch of new stock liveries that are themed for Flight Simulator. So that should be an interesting thing to look at once it's released. Not to mention the whole VR thing. I look forward to seeing what MSFS looks like in VR. Although I can't do it firsthand, I would love to. See, 6 new products in the marketplace for this update. Hong Kong City Times, Lima Oscar India Juliet Airport, St. Johann, EIDL Dusseldorf, LFMA Airport, which I believe is in France, Augusto C. Sandino, Mike November Mike Golf, as well as Echo Kilo Bravo India Billman, as well as updated products Santa Barbara Municipal and Singapore City Downtown. So some interesting notes there on Microsoft's development blog. Absolutely stunning. Pardon me. So as we're continuing to fly over, there's a small mountain range here off to our left. I'll see if I can't find a name for it. Indicated airspeed is about 110. I'm going to pull it back a little closer to 2400 RPM. I have mixtures kind of stroking out at 79%. Running the cool and crisp setting. Altitude is 4,500 feet with an altimeter setting of 29.31. It's about 8 degrees Fahrenheit, which equates to about minus 12 C. So I'd say IAS is now down to about 108 with a ground speed of 110. That might have been when I turned off the name tags. I can turn them back on. So I found Arbachetta. There's Spag. There's well, he's not flying with us. Catbat, Dougal, Pilot Peely, Roger RC, Merlin Flyer, Fast P84, Captain Bombasso, Kingsman, Rad Pilot Randy, Papa Joe B, Tortuga, and Commandant Muttley. So, Londonderry Eglinton will fly over, and it will be the last airport on the path. We won't be stopping, but it'll be the last waypoint on the flight path until our final stop at Donegal. Let's see, our heading is 310 degrees. Seamus says, as much as I don't want to spend the money, I'm going to have to upgrade to get the steam gauge version of the 172. I just don't like glass cockpits for some reason. I am also partial to the steam gauges. One of the biggest things I keep forgetting when I go to fly anything with a glass cockpit is I forget to enable the proper settings on the transponder, which is pretty important. Whereas in something like this, I automatically know where this is, and then I need to turn it on. I mean, it's an old habit. You know, I like the idea of learning the new fancy avionics systems to some degree, just so that I know I can use them. I definitely prefer this style of instruments, which is one of the nice things about what Coronado has been doing is they've been releasing aircraft outside of the 182 with standard, more traditional gauges. And I cannot wait for the new Waco YMF5 to come out. In fact, their headquarters is not even an hour away from where I live. It is an easy drive. I'm not entirely certain they build them there, but they definitely serve them at their headquarters. So it's not an uncommon sight to see a Waco fly around my neck of the woods. And one of the inspirations that I've had recently involved a Waco. When I say recently, shortly before Flight Sim 2020 came out, Kermit Weeks had purchased a Waco YMF5 in Arizona, and he flew it along the southern course of the southern border of the United States, through Texas and New Mexico, and flew it all the way to Florida. And once the Coronado Waco comes out, I might actually recreate that flight. So that will be an exciting trip. And as relaxing as the music is, sometimes it almost puts you to sleep. Let's look at the scenery here. So, the airport we're going to fly over is right here, Londonderry / Eglinton. As boy, do we have a crowd today. Isn't that fantastic? Everything from an X-Cub to an MB339. And multiple things in between. It's been a fantastic flight. I certainly did. In fact, I think I posted the first video that he made on his Waco YMF5 acquisition in the Two Tone Murphy Discord channel. In fact, I've been watching very intently on the week's aircraft restoration process of a Messerschmitt Bf 108, not to be confused with the 109, and it's been very interesting. I have seen bits of that, and it looks like the progress is going fairly well. I think it's he either has had or something involving a Weirway. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but it's a service I provide, being done as well. And I think that's being done in that neck of the woods as well as his boomerang. I believe my barometer setting is 29.31, which is something in the range of 992 millibars. Very eager for Coronado to update their inventory of aircraft into MSFS 2020. They're definitely not they're definitely not study level aircraft by any stretch of the imagination. But they have their own charm to them, and maybe their flight dynamics aren't the, again, study level. They're not A2A, but they don't need to be. But I'm definitely looking forward to things like the 172N and the 208 or the 206 to come out, because it's all very exciting. Because there's so many wonderful aircraft in their inventory. I can't wait to see how they update them for this sim. I worked with Matt's father many years ago. Matt started restoration of his first boomer in the family home, tripping over, which was very nice. As we've begun our turn towards Donegal, enter in another part of the world I would love to visit would be the New Zealand, Australia area. But as difficult as it is for me to be able to get to Europe, it's even more so to get down to Australia and New Zealand. But it's definitely on my list of places that I would love to travel to. Good evening, John E. Welcome to the stream. We're about halfway to Donegal on the last leg of the flight. Glad you could make it. We took off from Edinburgh, flew over to Glasgow, made a stop in Campbeltown, flew down to Belfast, and we just passed Londonderry, and we're now on the route to Donegal. At the New Zealand Fjords is the place. Peely and McDougall will agree. Very nice. It's with Murph early on in MSFS 2020. We did a big group flight down there. It's beautiful, absolutely stunning. We'll have to fly there again soon. And there's John E. As we've technically crossed the border into the Republic of Ireland, according to the arbitrary political maps. In my eyes, we're just continuing on into the island of Ireland, on our way to beautiful. I mean, just look at the mountains and the countryside. It's amazing. We got even more wonderful scenery coming up that we're flying over. That's always helpful in a group flight. I know that I've wanted to get my dad on board for the Two-Tone Murphy Flying School. He's a former instructor. And he still has a wealth of information and knowledge. So, looking forward to our final destination, we will look to land on runway 21 at Donegal. And on the airport chart, it says wind shear and turbulence may be experienced in the lee of Mount Aragall. That's unfortunate, Dougal. I haven't been in an airplane to fly, a small plane, I should specify, since 2012. I've been on commercial flights in 2017. Hello. But they're not the same. My dad also hasn't been able to fly in 15 years. Or at least hasn't flown. So the pain is shared. It certainly does, but Flight Sim and the Fireflies make the pain a lot more bearable. Flight Sim is by no means a perfect replacement for flying in real life, but it is a nice thing to enjoy in the meantime. So we're about to fly over Ramilton. Now, I'm given to understand that much of Ireland doesn't get a whole lot of snow, just given the general atmospheric situation that Ireland is typically under. Look at the mountains, look at the scenery. But it's nice it's a little immersive to see some patches of snow here and there. Certainly does, Noel. Having the... And the more realistic they get, it at least allows for the ability to remember the processes and the way things are done, if nothing else, but surely just having the pure fun of flying. That makes a lot of sense, Dougal. Oh dear. That sounds like whenever the southern part of the United States gets any snow, things just kind of lock up. They get an inch of snow and they're just not used to it, not prepared for it. Whereas where I'm at, an inch of snow is nothing. It's not an inch of snow to me is not even an inconvenience. And those in further north in Michigan would say that even a foot of snow isn't an inconvenience. So it's all relative, of course. Beautiful country. Now, I can't wait for the Oshkosh meetup in 2021 or 2022, excuse me. Be able to meet many of you guys, those able to make it. It's the fluffy white stuff that you won't go to jail for if you have a bunch of it stored. That makes sense. Yeah, it's not even the snow that you really have to worry about. It's the ice. Because even around here, there's a lot of people that would 4-wheel drive vehicles and whatnot that will be like, oh, I could go anywhere in the snow. That's great, but you have with ice, you've got 4 drive wheels that have the possibility of losing traction. So it's the ice you have to watch, and the road salt, and a place that my grandmother used to live in, Montrose, Colorado. They used ash. Now, don't ask me how it worked, so I'm not entirely sure, but they used ash. Now we're getting into some terrain. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. To go hiking in this area would be fantastic. Maybe even camping. We're right here. We're just outside the airspace ring. We're approximately 13 nautical miles from Donegal. Approximately 7 minutes. And remember, we're going for runway 21. Let's just look at the scenery. There's John E. in the banana. The cylinder engine's buzzing around through my headphones. It's one of the best sounds you can hear, isn't it? So we're 10 miles out from Donegal. No, you're fine, John. Don't worry about it. We're going to go ahead and disable the autopilot. Mixture goes to full. Throttle comes back to 2000 RPM. And we're going to do a slight right turn so that we can get properly lined up for the runway. That's a very complex sentence that I just tried to do. So we're beginning our descent. Now imagine exploring all this in a helicopter. This looks like it could have been a volcano. Epic. Epic scenery. Cannot get enough of it. Those were keeping vigilant. believe that is our runway right there. Just make sure that we're maintaining our descent. Temperature still minus 10 C. As sim time is 10:16 a.m. Absolutely, Murph. Glad you got home safely. It's been one heck of a stream. Lots of amazing scenery. Scotland and Ireland are beautiful, beautiful places. We saw a demonstration of how beautiful the community is and with its generosity. We're going to go ahead and reduce our power to 1600 RPM. Trim to accommodate. So let's just say that Scotland 737 has definitely earned the Epic badge once again, with an incredible demonstration of generosity, to which I still haven't figured out the proper words for, other than or beyond a simple thank you, which I don't think is quite adequate enough. But it has been a lovely flight so far, and now we get to, and we've had some awesome landings. The landings at Belfast were top notch. Can't wait to see the ones here at Donegal. Although we may have the added bonus challenge of crosswinds. Yes, there's our runway. Now we have to get ourselves well within the white arc so we can start putting flaps down. See Spag flying over the islands. The islands to which I know not the name for. Yeah. Famous last words. Hey, watch this. So there's one notch of flaps as we start casually turning towards the airfield. And we have the runway in sight. I'm going to add a second notch of flaps. Also, we're going to reduce power a little bit to about 1400 RPM. Gonna actually reduce power a little bit more. Gonna go ahead and put full flaps out. I'm gonna trim down to maintain speed. Between the weather setting, the time setting, and just the scenery itself, Donegal is gorgeous. We keep lined up on center line as best as we're able to. We have full flaps in. Right. The proper power setting. We're still a little above the glide slope, but that's all right. Probably a little low on the glide slope, but that's all right. So we're over the threshold. Gonna reduce throttle. Constant back pressure to the yoke. as we roll out and enter our... Wow, we didn't even get to the... we didn't even get to the flare, hardly. So we're gonna get our engine set for idle. Give me 1 second while I get stopped and set up for catching the landings. So welcome to Donegal, as we have arrived from Edinburgh. We'll try not to clip the fence on our way in. So we'll make a stop right about here. And we zoom to the runway. Airfield on a hill. Gorgeous. And the runway is open, as we have Kingsman. Bit of a rough landing, but that's okay. You're down anyway. And I echo everything Murphy said. Flight Sim 2020 has definitely been the peak and one of the best things to come out of the year. The year of so many negative pressures. We've had a very nice positive relief in this community. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. Who's next? It's Tortuga in the X Cub. Nicely done. There's John E. in the Finanza. Nicely done. As our Bruschetta and Dougal McTavish come in close to each other, with Bruschetta nice and smooth, Dougal with a small bounce, but that's okay. Pilot Peely in with a textbook landing right on the center line, and just little swerve, but that's okay. The wind's a little tricky here. There's Commandant Muttley and Papa Joe B, along with Captain Bombasso, all together. Nicely done, everyone. Merlin Flyer with a textbook approach. Followed closely by Red Pilot Randy. Donegal hasn't seen this many small planes since Murphy was here. Oh, we've still got about 4 more. There's Roger RC and another VL3. Fun little airplane. Spag in a 172. A little bouncy, but that's alright. You have a good night, Kingsman. Thanks for stopping by the stream and flying with us as Catback 9 makes a nice landing over the numbers. I wish you well this evening, Kingsman, and a pleasant rest, and we'll see you next time as Fast P84 in the 172 makes a very nice landing. Now, I think that is all of it. It certainly is. So, as everyone makes their way to the ramp, so as our landings have finished out for the evening, take a moment and reflect. Want to thank everybody who flew along for flying along. I'd like to thank everyone who watched for watching. For those that did both, that's a heck of a way to multitask. Special shout out to Scotland for the mind-blowing level of generosity. To Murphy for being such a upstanding fella, and the community that we've got going. I don't have the appropriate words to really put it out there, but I want to thank everybody. Each and every one of you means a lot, whether you're following along with just watching or following along while flying. It all means a lot. And I hope you have a good Friday and then a good weekend coming up. Next time I'll be live for sure will be Sunday at 2000 Zulu. I may have a Christmas Eve stream. I haven't really plotted out next week for sure, but Sunday you can probably expect to take off out of Donegal, and we might do a little bit more exploring of Ireland because it is such a beautiful place. But until next time, we'll see you on Discord. We'll see you on the next stream. But at the end of the day, always be good to each other, stay safe out there, and we'll catch you on the next time. Bye.